Welcome back. Let's bring in Mr. Dak Intobi. He's a journalist joining us right here in our Lagos studio. You look like you have not left London. But just to remind you, this is Nigeria.
You guys, Friday is supposed to be casual day.
Yeah.
And you guys are all dressed up today.
We decided to let you take the shine.
In a suit, and here I am all casual.
At least I'm not wearing a tie, so I'm dressed down a bit.
This is a rock star outfit. Just allow me to take a moment to acknowledge this is a rock star outfit. Come on.
Hey, now.
Mr. Kitobi, you're not Jay-Z.
Just reduce his age by 15.
Honest.
So it's not 23.
At this rate.
All right, let's get to the dailies now. This Nigeria is what we'll get to. This Nigeria is leading with what played out in the Senate. Electoral Act amendment, fireworks in the Senate, opposition, senators trade words over real-time results upload, accuse APC-led lawmakers of fear of losing elections conducted under transparent system. Mr. Kitobi.
There's a whole bunch of confusion here about this because some people are saying they passed it with electronic transmission of results. Other people are saying no, they didn't pass it with electronic transmission of results. Apparently, there are two words that are causing the confusion: transfer and transmit. Bottom line is this: from what I understand, even though the vote has been taken, there still has to be a ratification process.
Harmonization.
No, even before the harmonization, which is when the House version and the Senate version come together and they distill the essence. But even before that happens, it has to go through a process in the Senate called votes and something ratification. That at that point, they will need to clarify what exactly they voted for and was passed. So there's still a hope for this to be fixed at this point. But the general sense seems to be that we all believe they didn't pass this electronic submission of votes, that they voted it down. They decided to maintain the status quo with the 2022 law, which essentially gives INEC discretion.
That's what the Senate president said. But Abaribe, the senator who led the confusion, said that is not what we agreed.
That's not what we agreed.
So something is happening.
Absolutely. Something is amiss. And I believe before the whole process plays out, we will find out. Because they still need to go through this additional process before they harmonize. Bottom line is Nigerians want electronic submission of votes. We still feel to some extent disgruntled about how 2023 played out because we assumed then that electronic transmission of votes was a given. Then the Supreme Court came and said, well, it was not extant law, that INEC had the discretion to use it, and when they tried to do it and it didn't work, they were still permitted to count it, to submit it the manual way. But Nigerians really want this because we believe it will lend some measure of credibility to the process, because rigging has the best chance to occur between the polling booth and the collation center is when numbers get switched. So if it's done electronically where there's no human intervention, the chances of rigging are significant, not eliminated though, but significantly reduced.
Oh dear. Well, this is something we're following to ensure that at least you get all of the angles to it. And of course, the lawmakers themselves would also be speaking to it. Everybody should carry their constituency's name in that sense. But let's go over to Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard also leads with this same story. Majority of senators want real-time results transmission. That's the front page of Vanguard newspaper. There you go. Abaribe, Ningi, Ume, others are quoted to have said this. In fact, they had this press conference where they addressed Nigerians yesterday. And you see the picture there, just on top of the big story, shows Governor Bassani and his deputy with rescued worshippers of the Korminwali Community Church at Sakashim Ibrahim House, Kaduna, yesterday. So the remaining have been rescued. I think this is good closure. But the question is, would there be another in the future? We hope not. But Mr. Kintobi, I'd like you to speak to the Kwara massacre just quickly. Soldiers came 10 hours after terrorists had killed scores, village head. Troops promptly deployed on receipt of information of attack. That's what the DHQ says, but the people said it took 10 hours.
That's even more unconscionable because the community was warned ahead. They received a letter about
time and again.
2 weeks ahead. They received a letter saying this was going to happen. And they notified the authorities that we've been issued these threats. Can you do something to protect us? And nothing was done. And even when the attack took place, for hours there was no response. that gave the opportunity for this many people. I mean, excuse me, please, even trying to eliminate one human life takes a lot of effort and a lot of input. Imagine now 100 and 100 plus. The amount of time, effort, firepower, resilience. Those people didn't just lie down like chickens and they fought back. So there's resistance that you have to overcome. When you put all those things together, it tells you that there was absolutely no response whatsoever. And what I find laughable is the IG now deploying tactical team after the fact, instead of before, after. What is the tactical team going to go there to do? Are these people coming back? They've left already. So they've already committed the atrocity. They've eliminated human life. We're now sending tactical team after the fact. Okay, well, perhaps the tactical team can help to comb the surrounding areas to see if they can locate any of those who might have been taken away. But I think the focus on this particular thing was to eliminate and kill people. And those who did it are not going to be hanging around the neighborhood after they committed the atrocity. They're long gone. So what this tactical team is there to do, I don't know. It should have been there before, not after. And so the notion of will it happen again, can we hope it won't happen, that's wishful thinking. Because if you look at the trajectory of this insecurity, same thing is repeating itself over and over again, and we don't seem to have learned the lessons that will help us to prevent reoccurrences. And
we understand the president has deployed Operation Savannah Shield to Kwara State. Yes. I hope that these shields will be across board and they will indeed protect these vulnerable Nigerians. But that's the front page of Vanguard. Jeff.
Let's go to we may have to dwell more on some of these pages. Let's see, I'm trying to okay, maybe we'll come back to, let's go to the New Telegraph newspaper. And of course, the political conversation about e-transmission of poll results is still leading, just expected. So it's page 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. But beneath that, where you have that picture, you have Kwara, Katsina, Benue killings, northern governors Abbas, Kwankwaso, demand decisive action on insecurity. So, Mr. Kitobi, I'm happy they are going beyond politics. The North has to stop being a killing field for these terrorists. The North has to stop being downside risks to development because they have all the potential. Arable land, population, solid minerals. They are responsible for our grains. I can go on and on and on. So there's a huge potential. But when this happens, all you hear is the apocalypse, the poverty, the out-of-school children, the insecurity. So what do you make of the leadership of the North, given this context of their conversation?
It's not just even the leadership of the North, but the leadership of the entire country. If you look at the history of Nigeria since 1960, Nigeria has been led by Northerners for a larger percentage of our 65 years of independence. And the question I keep asking is, what did the Northern leaders do for the North during the period in time that they were in power? If they've had power for more than half of the time that we've been independent, how can the North still be so wretched and still be so poor and still have so many problems in terms of social infrastructural amenities and education and health? And this is where you see our marginal children out of school. This is where you see the most beggars come from. This is where you see poverty is rife. So I don't put it just at the pocket of the Northern leaders alone, because when you look at the elections coming up, the Northern people will say, oh, vote for him, he's my person. And I ask them, him being your person, what is that going to substantively do for you as an individual? All of your people who have been there since Nigeria became independent, have they not left you in penury and destitution? So what is this notion about you pushing so hard for another person from your end to come and be the one to rule the country? It's not going to benefit you from what history has told us. So look, yes, I like the idea that Kwankwaso, Abbas, a whole bunch of the Northern leaders are now saying, let's look at this from a regional perspective as opposed to us trying to individualize the context. Now, for states to be standing up, it means there's a failure of federal might. Because remember, exclusive list, security is the remit of the federal government. So if for states to be saying, let's look at what we can do together. And when you look at the rise of paramilitary agencies like Amotekun, Ebubeagu, and all those. It's simply because the center has not been able to meet the challenges of keeping our internal security intact. So the subnationals are now looking at what can we do within the context of the Constitution? Because, of course, security is for the federal. The state can't undertake it itself. State can't arm people, for example. That's why you see even the paramilitary agencies, they have to work with the police. They don't have the armament. They don't have the constitutional right to bear arms to actually go and fight crime themselves. They can only kind of investigate, apprehend, and hand over to the police. So, I think it speaks to this notion of let's devolve power from the center, whether it's state police, whatever we want to call it, because that command and control from Abuja clearly is not working if the individual states are trying to find means by which they can defend their people themselves. Because remember, the governors swore an allegiance to the individuals, their citizens in their states.
Without trying to cut it, security expert did say that yes, the Abuja has all the powers, but Abuja is doing more of control.
Yeah.
The state governors can't do command because they have security service commanders. They meet intermittently to discuss.
But do they take orders from the governors, or do they take orders from the defense chiefs? Yeah, they can meet. See, for example, in Lagos, for example, during the tenure of a previous governor, what he did to enhance security in his state was start a private security fund, whereby he spoke to all the banks and all the multinationals, and they pulled money together, and he equipped the police, gave them armored personnel carriers, gave them Hilux pickup trucks, uniforms, rifles, bullets, walkie-talkies, and guess what? Crime went to near zero. I don't know when last you heard of a home invasion or a bank robbery in Lagos State. So there are things the governors can do. And I'm not faulting the security expert you're talking about. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying that the governors have limited capability in terms of direct confrontational security measures. They're limited by the Constitution. That's not to say there are not things they can still do.
Well, Mr. Akintobi, we will continue to interrogate these issues and see how it goes from here. But almost thank you for coming on the program. As always, thank you.
My pleasure.
And keep looking youthful.
Happy weekend, Nigeria.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get to that conversation. What played out in Kwara State, that massacre that the governor had to travel 6 hours to the community in Kwara in Kayama in that state to commiserate with the people and reassure them that deployment of troops have been ordered by the president. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.